Hey guys, Bugcat7 here. Okay, it is Monday, December 9th, 2019, and I want to thank you for visiting the Stonewall Research Channel here on YouTube. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. All right, guys, we're going to take a look at an article in Ancient Origins in this video by Hugh Newman from Megalithomania fame and a friend of Jim Vieira's about the first inhabitants of the UK, and those would be the giants of Albion. And if you never heard of them, we're going to talk about them in this video today via the article in Ancient Origins by Hugh Newman. But what's interesting to me is that Hugh never mentions anything about the bell beaker culture in this article, and I think it would be, the most likely connection that we can make here. And if you don't know about the bell beaker culture, I have covered it on this channel before with articles from Ancient Origins as well by Jason Jarrell and Sarah Farmer, where they make this comparison of the bell beaker people with the Adena, because they apparently had some of the same physiological characteristics and some of the same sort of cultural aspects that the shared. So this says here in Wikipedia, which again, Wikipedia is just based on mainstream data, but arising from 2800 BC and lasting in continental Europe until 2300 BC, but they were in Britain as well, as you can see from this map here. Just make it bigger. This is at the mature beaker culture. Okay, and as you can clearly see, that Britain here, Scotland and parts of Ireland, Spain and France, up here into the Scandinavia, and Germany down here in Italy, and this just accounts for where they've done archaeological digs, where they found. It doesn't mean that they've dug every square inch of land up everywhere. Okay, this is only what they know of so far. You see, it's not like they know everything. Okay, if you look down at the bottom of the page and go to the research books that this Wikipedia piece is made from, and you read the actual books, you're going to find out that it's all theoretical, it's all hypothetical. 95% of the work of archaeologists, anthropologists, paleontologists is theoretical. Okay, you're showing examples of this bell beaker culture pottery, and it just so happens we just talking about the large hominids or giants in Tennessee, and about the beautiful pottery that they make. Okay, so that's one of the similarities that Jason Jarrell and Sarah Farmer draw upon to make the comparison there. But I just want to just talk about them for a minute before we get into the article here. Okay, because they were pretty advanced people. And, as the myths go in there, they're always products of demons and the devil, and all part of the giant, quote unquote, giant propaganda against these people. Okay, Jack and the Beanstalk, whatever it is, last vestiges of the giant propaganda with the giant genocide that went on in the past. Look, people, Homo sapiens human beings are paranoid lunatics. You understand? This is what ethnocentrism is all about. This is what xenophobia is all about, okay? One day, one of the Brutus's old lady said, you know what? Those big, ugly looking people, smarty pants people, I hate them and I'm afraid of them. So I want you to go get rid of them, okay? And the guy said, okay, because you didn't want to hear it anymore. Some little pussies running around. I'm scared of those big ugly guys. Get rid of them. Whatever it was. Okay, all part of the giant genocide and the giant propaganda, and the giant propaganda from the Bible, and the giant propaganda coming out of L.A. Marzulli, and the giant propaganda coming from Steve Quayle, whoever it is in the Bible. I don't care what it's in the Bible. I don't care if it's from the Paiutes, okay? These people believe their own bullshit, okay? Because they're mentally ill and delusional about the past. And if you think archaeologists and anthropologists know anything about the past, why don't you talk to Randall Carlson, okay? And he'll tell you how many times this planet's been ripped up. So many frickin' times, okay, that it's a wonder that a geologist can make any sense of anything, okay? And if you're reading the geologist's work, too, as we know from William Corliss and Velikovsky and Harry Hubbard's videos, okay? It's all a bunch of nonsense, okay? The Ice Age and all bullshit, all theory and hypothesis, okay? But people can't break free from it. They can't break free from the Nephilim and the aliens being giants and all this kind of stuff. And meanwhile, the people were having hallucinations because they were gripped by the alien biomechanoids' minds, okay? If they're intelligent enough to make crop circles, okay? Who would be whimsical enough to make crop circles of intelligent beings, okay? It's like Stephen Hawking says, if the aliens come here, they want something from us, they're going to take it. Period. Okay? And if they're not, they're here to say hello. Nobody's in government doing things and all this other crap. It's all distractions to take you off the real story about the biomechanoids that live in space that are smarter than dolphins and octopuses, who are pretty damn smart. Historical craniometric studies found that the Beaker people appeared to be a different physical type than those earlier populations in the same geographic area. There are no earlier populations in the same geographic area. The land's been ripped up so many times, they don't know what era is from what era. You know, the strata's all mixed up and backwards and upside down and everything else. They were described as tall, heavy-boned, okay? Heavy-boned and brachiocephalic, okay? This is ridiculous. This is absurd, okay? As I say again and again and again, it's part of the psyop against them being a separate species of humanoid. Okay, they're talking about artificial cranial deformation. Well, I'm sorry, it's impossible. Okay, if I take a couple of boards and slap them on your head and keep them for years and years and years, your head is not going to grow bigger. You understand? You're not going to have a vaulted cranium or anything like that. But your head is certainly going to be a weird shape. No doubt. Okay, but it doesn't make it bigger. It doesn't make it grow bigger. Okay, it can make it pointy, it can make it square, it can make it, melon shaped, whatever it is, but it's still going to be the same size you started out with. It's not going to make it bigger. It's not going to make it grow bigger. Okay? The early studies on the Beakers, which are based on the analysis of their skeletal remains, were craniometric. This apparent evidence of migration was in line with archaeological discoveries linking Beaker culture to new farming techniques. Okay, this is the ultra bad people, the product of demons and devils. New farming techniques, mortuary practices, copperworking skills, and other innovations, cultural innovations, okay? Cultural innovations, okay? So highly advanced culture, highly advanced society, probably more advanced socially than anybody. You think that they wanted trouble with anybody, or they probably just want to live peacefully, okay? They were agriculture thousands and thousands of years ago. This whole thing about and they know now, mainstream is even starting to admit it now, this whole thing with the hunter-gatherer stuff is all a bunch of shit, people. People have been doing agriculture on this planet, whether they be big or small, whoever they were, for millennia. Beyond millennia, tens of thousands of millennia. They're full of crap. They can't explain stuff, so they make up all kinds of stuff. Anti-migrational authors either paid little attention to skeletal evidence and or argued differences could be explained by environmental and cultural influences. Margaret Cox and Simon Mays sum up the position, quote, although it can hardly be said that craniometric data provide an unequivocal answer to the problem of the Beaker folk, the balance of the evidence would at present seem to favor a migration hypothesis. Okay, so it would seem to favor. This is the language, you understand? Something, that's not proof positive. Okay, that's not definite. Okay, and the Beaker folk are a problem. Just like the Adena people here in the United States are a problem for them, the archaeologists and anthropologists. A problem. That's why Dr. Ken Fader, who's a big sellout and a jerk, okay, is one of these people who's skewing the whole story straight out of mainstream academia. And I had it on Coast to Coast with him and made him look like a fool. Okay? I still have that up on. They haven't taken that one down. They like my theories, apparently, with the Giants, and they don't like Fader's. They didn't like me ambushing Michael Tellinger, though. They took that one down. But, when you go around saying this is the biggest area of ancient stone constructions in the world, and it's not, because the northeast of North America is, and I've shown you, the New Hampshire stone mapper there with 500,000 miles of stone walls. That doesn't count all the rest of the stone constructions at Dolman and everything else. Okay? You go around saying stuff like that, well, you're going to get me right up your rear end, okay? Because you're not getting away with that. And I don't know what George Norrie expected from me, but how else am I going to get this idea out there? I'm going to come on his radio and contradict somebody who's going around telling everybody's false statements, giving everybody false statements. It's not the biggest area. The northeast part of North America is, and probably down the whole eastern coast. It's gigantic. It's just absolutely gigantic. And all those stone walls in the northeast were built by these large hominids. Okay, so let's get to the article. I'll try to get through as much of it possible. You get the idea from it and everything. So this is an article by Hugh Newman of Megalithomania fame from 2017. The Giants of Ancient Albion and the Legendary Founding of Prehistoric Britain. Giants are at the heart of national folklore concerning the founding of Britain, and archaic traditions state they have inhabited the country since deep antiquity. This article investigates not only the origins of Britain, it also uncovers a lost legacy of extremely tall and powerful individuals who once ruled this part of the world. And I've tried to get in touch with Hugh Newman and Jim Vieira. I just tried to get in touch with Barbara DeLong of Secrets in the Stones to see if she'll get back to me, but we'll see. Neither one of them got back to me, but I'm biggest proponents of them. I have so many of their videos and playlists on my channel. Merlin being assisted by a giant at Stonehenge circa 1150 A.D. Okay, so, mainstream is just going to say, well, it's just, exaggeration, myth, or whatever it is. Meanwhile, what about all this hypothetical and theoretical work about large hominids in the past? Well, I don't pay attention to that. Yeah? Well, sorry, pal. The earliest traditions agree that the first inhabitants of Britain were of the tall persuasion. Some say that they were descendants of Noah's son Ham and came from Africa about 4,000 years ago. And that whole outer Africa thing and whatnot about human beings on a planet is a bunch of crap. Robert Seffer goes over it on his channel, Atlantean Gardens as well. Okay, the whole outer Africa thing is bullshit. All current mainstream data shows that human beings developed separately on different parts of the planet. So this whole outer Africa stuff is shit. Okay. Other versions state that Noah's son Japheth had arrived even earlier, and Japheth, I think, is the one that with the Mormons and all that kind of stuff, they refer to them as that, had arrived even earlier. Noah's lineage is often said to be giants, is often said to be giants. Britain's oldest acknowledged name is thought to be taken from a prehistoric giant king called Albion, who made his way to the island after being banished from his homeland of Greece. He was begotten by the sea god, whom the Greeks called Poseidon, the Romans Neptune. In the Chronicles of England, Scotland, and Ireland by Raphael Holinshed, Albion and the giants were said to have gradually consolidated their position in Britain, ruling the land for hundreds or possibly thousands of years. I think possibly hundreds of years, and more highly likely thousands of years, beyond thousands of years. I mean, we don't know what the world was like thousands of years ago, thanks to these jerks. Mainstream jerks. Albion versus Hercules. After a long reign, Albion went to the south of France, called Gaul at the time, to help his army defeat Hercules. To ensure winning, Hercules summoned by his father Zeus, and a shower of stones fell from the sky. They're referring to some sort of thing like Velikovsky was talking about, Thunderbolts Project, Electric Universe. Shower of stones fell from the sky could mean something completely different. It could refer to a catastrophe. These were used as weapons against Albion, and he was defeated. However, the giant race of Britain continued for 100 more years, although their numbers decreased and ended up at southwestern tip of Cornwall until the arrival of Brutus after the Trojan Wars. However, Britain original name could also be from a Greek giantess called Albina. The Chronicles of Britain, written by John de Wabrin between 1445 and 1455, relate that in time of Jahir, the third judge of Israel after Joshua, Lady Albion and her sisters came to and settled in an island which they named Albion after her, and which afterwards got the name of Britain. While they were living there, the devil assumed the shape of a man and dwelt among the wicked women, and by they had issued great and terrible giants and giantesses, who afterwards much increased and multiplied and occupied the land for a long time, namely until the arrival of Brutus, who conquered them. Okay, after the gravity changed on the planet, the giants started dying out and passing their genes onto human beings because it is possible for them to breed. Albina and the daughters of Dionysius, two giants of Albion, are in the background, encountered by a ship carrying Brutus and his men. French prose route, British Library Royal, 1450-1475. And here are those horrible giants in their tights and pointy shoes with big sticks. Giant genocide, guys. Giant propaganda. It's all, we are just incredible paranoid lunatics, and we have to admit it. We killed all the little people, we killed all the big people, we killed all the big animals. You notice in major areas there's not a lot of bears or tigers or whatever it is, because we killed them. You understand? That's what we do. That's what we're proficient at. Killing. The story of Albina has variations. One version says she was taller than average, so had giant genes. Okay, so these giant genes, what he's talking about here, and his friend, Brian Collins there, wrote a book about these people being hybrids. They were hybrids after the giants, and exactly what I'm talking about the Native American Indians, okay? They integrated into them, okay? They didn't die off in the 1200s like mainstream would like us to believe and disappeared into nowhere, and they don't know what happened to them. They're not telling the story correctly on purpose. One version says she was taller than average, so had giant genes. Her father, Diocletian, was either a Roman emperor or possibly a king of Syria. Most versions agree that her father had 33 wicked daughters, but he managed to find 33 husbands to curb their unruly ways. The daughters were displeased under the leadership of their eldest sister, Alba, also Albina or Albine. They plotted to cut the throats of their husbands as they slept. So, more horrible things that the giants do that are just so terrible and seem to be in line with just what anybody in this world would do today. They're bad people, good people, all this kind of stuff. For this crime, they were set adrift on a boat with a half-year's rations, and after a long, dreadful journey, they arrived at a great island that came to be named Albion after the eldest. Here they stayed, and with the assistance of the demons, they populated the wild, windswept islands with a race of giants. Propaganda! Assistants really meant mated with, and with their offspring, a new ruling giant elite were founded. Yes, ones that did excellent pottery and fine, beautiful pottery, advanced agriculture, advanced metallurgy, advanced culturally, just like the Bell Beaker. This is the Bell Beaker people we're talking about here, folks. Okay? This whole thing made it with demons and devils and all, it was a bunch of bullshit. Giant propaganda. Okay, I don't care whether it comes from the Bible, the Paiutes, or any other Native American Indians, or of course on the East Coast, there were good ones. But, in the West, they got to be bad. And, like the people at Galena Canyon with fine houses and living finely, took care of their families, high culture, etc., etc. They were busy eating baby arms. History of the Kings of Britain. Geoffrey of Monmouth's influential 12th century history Regum Britannia, History of the Kings of Britain, has caused one of the biggest controversies regarding the founding of Britain. Thousands of years after the giants had populated the island, Brutus and other warriors fleeing the Trojan Wars landed on the coast of Albion, and legend states that the modern name of Britain comes from Brutus. Geoffrey asserts that he translated the history into Latin in about 1136 from a very ancient book in the British tongue that was loaned to him by Walter, Archdeacon of Oxford. What this book was has had scholars debating for centuries, but it could have been the History Britonum, History of the Britons from the 9th century, written by Nennius, a monk from Bangor, Wales, one of those monks that, makes history in a way that he likes best, gets rid of stuff he doesn't like, puts in stuff that he does like giant propaganda and contributing to the giant genocide which we had to do. So our wives and children wouldn't be scared and we wouldn't be scared. This is likely as he covered many Arthurian myths. Oh, don't forget about pathological envy as well as their advanced culture and advanced skills. This is likely as he covered many Arthurian myths, including the giants of ancient Albion. An important section of Geoffrey's text has Brutus and his men realizing that Albion was already partly populated by unexpectedly tall foes. It was uninhabited except for a few giants. They drove the giants whom they had discovered into the caves and the mountains, these big badass giants, these big weapons and everything. They drove them back there, no problem at all. Okay? Big, bad, nothing. Tool eaters that ate vegetables, vegetarians with advanced social structure. After scaring off the giants, or scaring them, okay, giants scare easily, I guess, okay. If I was a giant, and I would fight to my death, wouldn't be scaring me into a cave, trust me. And launching attacks on the Titans. The land was then divided up, and Quirinius was given the southwest area of Cornwall rule, named after the great warrior. Quirinius experienced great pleasure from wrestling with the giants, of whom there were far more than any of the districts that had been distributed among his comrades. Imagine if these people were suffering from the effects of the increased gravity, and it was taking a toll on them, on their genes. This guy was wrestling around with, sick people, okay? And he's proud of it. When I beat up a 12-year-old, and I'm almost 60 years old, I beat up a 12-year-old, I feel proud of that. When I'd take a guy out of the hospital and beat him up. Yeah, I'm a man. Among others, there was a particularly repulsive one called Gog-Magog, who was 12 feet tall, and maybe suffering from the effects of gravity sickness, or whatever it is. And, I'll just attack sick people. Attack of the Giants, giant propaganda. Other chronicles state that he was in fact 12 cubits tall, so this would have made him 18 feet, 5.5 meters tall. Gog-Magog was described as being so strong he can uproot an oak tree and shake it like a hazel wand and lift a bunch of big giant stones. Again, guys, my hypothesis is that all these dolmen that you find from the Neolithic period were tests of strength. Even some of the split stones, the split stones, picked up large split stones and split them as tests of strength. Okay? Some of the ones that could be handled by these people who were 18 feet tall. Okay, if you're 18 feet tall, you're moving around. You and your buddy can move around like a 3,000-pound stone. Okay? Don't need a sled. You don't need all this other stuff. You don't need a crane. You don't need anything. Okay? Just pick it up and bring it over there. Okay? As we looked at in Tennessee, they said the 18-foot skeleton there must have been 3,000 pounds when he had his flesh. Okay? 3,000-pound guys can lift up 1,000-pound things, no problem. Okay? Think about it. Okay, no cranes involved, no sleds, no weird techniques that there's a million of them on the internet. This is the way they did it.